everyone, I'm Captain Logan. Welcome back to Primetime Crisis. It's time for some more Arrow discussion, and our episode in question this time, my favorite episode title so far for the season, So It Begins! I really like this one. I don't think it's quite as good as last week, and I am really worried that the storytelling quality and this kind of Season 1, Season 2 tone that we've gotten back to isn't gonna last, but right now, changing my tune a little bit on this show. I really am enjoying where we're at least at this very moment. Best things about this episode, Prometheus and how incredibly theatrical he is, and all the bookending with Season 1. We're back to subverting expectations again. You know, we're back to where we were in Season 2, where I was guessing at what happened, at what's going to happen next, rather than just kind of sitting there and not caring because it didn't feel like point A was leading to point B, leading to point C. It felt more like in the moment it was about just these kind of teases, and now it feels more like we have a real mystery we're trying to solve, and it's personal for Oliver. And I think one of the things that makes Prometheus interesting right now, and again, it's going to depend on who he ends up being underneath that hood, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, because some people, because it seems almost unanimous in the comments who people think this is, and I didn't think of it, and so I'll talk about what people are saying in the comments here in a minute about who that might be. And of course, we get maybe a hint or maybe a reveal at the end of this episode, but I'm not sure exactly what we're supposed to take from that. And as I always say, I'm not reading ahead. If there is information that has been leaked or there are spoilers and things, I'm not looking at it. So I'm reacting to the episode. I'm not doing research because I want to get to experience it while I'm watching. So if some of you folks already know, or you know at least more than I do, please don't spoil things for me in the comments. I said that with Supergirl this week too. But anyway, what's cool about Prometheus right now is that he is that a lot of the stuff that he's doing, going back to Season 1 stuff, are things that we haven't talked about in a while. And, you know, it's kind of like, I bring up Angel a lot, it's kind of like Angel Season 5, when Lindsay McDonald suddenly shows back up, and you haven't seen him in so long that it takes you a minute to even recall who that is, especially because he looks really different in that scene. But it's like we reveal, you know, the lawyer, Lindsay, comes back, and it's like, oh wow, I didn't expect to ever see him again. I kind of feel like that right now with the show, not with any characters in particular, but we haven't been talking about the list the whole time. And in fact, there have been people who have kind of wondered, you know, where that is. Why haven't we been talking about that in the flashbacks? What's going on with that? And suddenly the list is back, and we're talking about all the people that Oliver has killed. And so I'm really liking going back to that stuff and trying to guess who it is and what exactly his beef is with Oliver. And it's kind of a past comes back to haunt you kind of scenario. We're talking about some of the things that I thought we were just not gonna discuss and tackle, leaving Oliver in kind of this amorphous, ambiguous place character-wise. And I don't know if I totally buy that we've gotten him to the place, you know, where this episode is kind of saying that he's at. I don't know if there hasn't been some progression and then regression, but I like that we're talking about it. At least where we are right now, it's working for me pretty well. And that's the other great thing about this episode. And of course that's tied to all the Prometheus stuff, because it's about comparing Oliver now to Oliver when he first left the island. And I like the distinction that Felicity makes when she says that, well, I think it's Felicity, when she says, well, you were a serial killer. I love that we're throwing that word around. I don't think she says it specifically, but Evelyn says it. You know, he was a serial killer. The difference is you used to kill as a first course, and that used to be your first recourse is to kill the bad people. And now you save that till the end. And so now what we're doing, and it does feel more like a progression now in discussing it, at least the way we are, because the idea is, well, he killed Damien Dark because he had to, so that's not necessarily a regression. That's him going, and I feel like we could have played this smarter when it was happening at the time, and suddenly we've gotten a little bit more intelligent in the script writing, going back to it, where when Damien Dark died, what should have been brought to the forefront is Oliver went too far the other way. It was a pendulum swing. It's that he he thought that to be the good, noble hero and more than just a vigilante, he had to never kill, like Batman. But with Batman, and people always talk about how, people always suggest that this is a Batman show before it's a Green Arrow show, and in a lot of ways that's true. But the big distinction between the two characters is Green Arrow started, or this version, when he was the Hood. And that comes up again. When he was the Hood, he killed first. It started from a murdering place. And with Batman, he's afraid if he ever crosses that line, he will turn into a monster. And this is the opposite of that. This is a character who starts as the monster and becomes something else. Becomes the hero. And we had a season that was supposed to be all about that, and the way I don't know if this will play better now that we have these episodes, and we could ruin it as we're moving along, but I'm just talking about where we are right now. The way I'm hoping maybe it watches now, and again, what I think should have been brought to the fore is he thought he was becoming a hero, and his real problem is extremes. He can't find that middle place, and so unfortunately, sometimes you get in a lesser of two evils situation, and being a hero is making it not about yourself. It's making it about the good, the greater good, the good of everyone. And the extreme psychology of Batman is I can't kill even if it were the right thing to do. And maybe there's always an argument there. Maybe you'll never come to a complete consensus with people if it's the right thing to do to kill someone. But even if everyone agreed, Batman can't do that because he's afraid that he'll go down the darker path and never return from it. And Oliver decides at the end of last season that there's no other recourse. It's either that or he murders, thousands and millions of people, however many it was. So he's found that middle road, kind of. But what he's worried about is that killing has become easy for him again. And he's afraid that he's become the person he did on the island again. And I really like that conversation, like I said, that he has with Felicity, where she says, well, this is the difference. You used to start with killing, now it's the very last course. And one thing that I was really perplexed by and bothered by at the beginning of the season, and I need to go back and look at that scene now, because some folks told me that they didn't see it the way I did, or that maybe I missed something and I was looking at it wrong. I thought Oliver killed someone just to save his own hide, to preserve his own identity. The way we're talking about it in this episode is that he has only killed people when he thought he had no other choice, like Church's men. And if that is consistent, if that's right, and I just need to go back and look, but if that's right, then I like that. That is consistent. If that's consistent, and I like the kind of existential crisis he's having, the identity crisis he's having, where he's trying to decide if he's turning into the Hood again, or if he really deserves this new moniker of Green Arrow, which is supposed to be the more optimistic hero, and that he stands for more than vengeance, and that he's actually about justice, and that he holds himself to a standard. He holds himself accountable. Let's go ahead and get into some specifics of this episode, and we'll begin with the big question everybody was asking in the comments last week, and I didn't think of this, I should have. Is Prometheus Tommy Merlin? And now that I've heard that, that's really what I'm hoping it is. People have been wondering if Tommy would ever come back. We had a flashback with him, I think it was toward the beginning of last season. Everybody expected him to come back. Everybody thought that he might have something to do with who was in the grave, and then it turns out that, he's not anywhere to be found. It might be really cool if he's the big bad. Now, one worry I have, of course, with all of this is that we're only on episode 6, is that by the end of the season, it's going to feel like another really overly elaborate, incredibly convoluted and confusing bad guy plot like we had with Deathstroke. I'm hoping that this time around we can look that we'll look back at that season and we'll rectify some of those mistakes in the master manipulation plot. My other worry is that it's going to turn out to be just somebody from the flashbacks, and that we're going to do that easy thing that we've already done a couple times this season, unfortunately, of whatever we were doing exactly 5 years ago informs what we've got going on now. You can make some of that work, it's just that we've done it so much. That like season 3, I think, the virus that we're dealing with is the virus that was in the flashbacks. That's too easy. You can see the writers at work. I don't like that. But I also just think it would maybe come off as kind of lame because Prometheus is so cool. And like I said, this feels like a early Arrow villain. He's taking the list and killing anagrams of names on the list. I think that's a really clever and cool idea. These are people that have nothing in common at all, except that you rearrange their names, their letters, and you get somebody on the list. Good thing he's able to find somebody for each of those, but I think a city that big, you probably would. So I like that a lot. And then the big reveal at the end, well, not the big reveal, one of the reveals at the end that he is melting down all of Oliver's old arrows that he's found or that he's left around the city into his weapons. I think that's a really cool idea. So like I said, it's a past come back to haunt him story. He's trying to make Oliver pay for his past crimes, and it seems like what he's maybe doing is trying to prove to Oliver or make Oliver think he's haunting him. And I love that kind of a villain. He's a twisted mirror for Oliver. He's trying to make Oliver think that he hasn't changed at all. And like I said, this is a guy who in some ways refuses to change. We have our two big conflicts this episode that we've always dealt with Arrow, that we've kind of truncated down to, or melted down to the brass tacks. We've got, should I kill or should I not kill, and should I trust people and tell the truth, or should I not trust people and tell the truth? And this one episode is about all of that stuff, and it has certainly felt a lot in the past like we're a broken record with that stuff, but all of a sudden it feels a little fresher than it has in a while. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but I'm really liking it. And so, so I really like that idea, both of those ideas, and the way in which Prometheus is haunting him. Now that I've heard Tommy Merlin, I can't unsee it. I can't unhear it. And I really do kind of hope that that's who it is. I'm also curious to know, though, if that's who it was, how exactly the Prometheus name plays in. I've been trying to reconcile the Prometheus story, in Greek mythology, and what happened with Tommy. And what I'm thinking, if it is him, is that we'll learn some backstory that what happened, that the way he died, what happened to him, Tommy would be able to blame Oliver for getting him into something that resembles the Prometheus story. Prometheus gives fire to mankind, and because he gives us technology basically that we're not ready for, he is forced to he's chained to a rock, and his liver is eaten out by birds, by I think vultures, every day. And I'm wondering, there's nothing in Tommy's past that immediately reminds me of that story. So what if it's him? How does that name fit in? And surely it's not just a name we drew out of a hat. I'm going to assume it would be like if he was called the Phoenix. That there's an immediate metaphor there. It evokes an idea. So I'm assuming there's going to be something like that with Prometheus. And if it turns out to just be one of these guys from the flashbacks, if it turns out to be Anatoly or something, I'm not going to be as excited about that, I don't think, but I don't know. Maybe they can convince me. We'll see. Okay, so I got some questions. I'll just talk about some random notes now. First of all, was it not human target who was talking to Susan last episode when she gave him her phone number, and he made the pact with her to wait a month before she smears him anymore? Because it really plays this episode. You have the Last Time on Arrow thing, and they show Oliver like it's Oliver, and they don't also show you Human Target. So if you haven't seen that episode, you would think that it was just Oliver there. But they even play it in the episode like he was there and he remembers it. So I'm confused about that. I thought for sure that was him. If that was Human Target. If it was him, that's actually kind of better, even though I liked the revelation that Human Target was doing stuff in the background as Oliver, because that means that the most impressive thing he did in that episode would actually be Oliver, and that's good, but I thought there was something that made it clear that that was supposed to actually be him, so I don't know. I'll mention a couple more notes, and then we'll talk about the big thing with Lance at the end, because that's obviously kind of the big question mark with this episode moving forward. So there is this shot with Green Arrow and the recruits on a roof, and it looks like, it's like the money shot for this episode. It looks like what you might expect the box art to be. I don't think they've done that with the show. I think they usually use publicity photos for the DVD box art, but I could see just taking that roof shot and making it that. I guarantee you we'll see that a lot. They'll just keep going back to that. That's one of those shots that you shoot. Like if this show had an intro, that would be in the intro. With the way we stagger everybody behind him, and we clearly blocked that to make it a big dramatic, whole group shot. With regard to the recruits, they're making everybody more unique. They're making me like everybody a little bit more, even if I'm not real into their performances. I just don't think Evelyn is her actress is a real good actress. But she's better this episode, and maybe that's good. I mean, giving her more to do, she's shining a little bit more. But I still think she's got a lot of growing to do in her performance. But I like that Oliver's having to face the lies he's told, and these people, worried about working with a guy who used to be a serial killer. I thought at first that it was a little too easy, that like maybe one of them should have left. And I didn't expect that, because we're clearly setting these people up to be the big team moving forward. Which is working for me better than I really ever expected that it would. But I mean, I don't really like Felicity trying to get Oliver to put them in the field up against Prometheus this early. Like they're not ready for that. Diggle is absolutely right, and they're consistent with Felicity always wanting Oliver to use the recruits, and Diggle always thinking that they're not ready for things and we shouldn't trust them yet. And I always agree with Diggle, and I think and that seems like logic versus I don't know where Felicity's coming from with all that, and it was her idea in the first place. To bring these recruits on, and she keeps trying to get them out in the field prematurely. Wouldn't she feel really bad if one of them got killed because she was so insistent on getting them out there? I mean, Evelyn goes up against Prometheus by herself at the end of this episode. I like that scene a lot, by the way, where like she held her own a little bit too well, I thought, at first, and then she would have died if it hadn't been for Oliver coming in and saving her. I thought that was a really well blocked scene, and I'm jumping around, but suddenly the action in the show is more interesting and more creative than it has been in a while. It feels like people want to make this show again. We're not phoning it in like I thought we were a lot last season. The stuff on the train was thrilling. Suddenly there's a bomb. Oh no, 12 seconds. We can't defuse it. What are we gonna do? We gotta let the train explode. We're gonna jump out the top. We've got a Green Arrow has a parachute. That was all really cool. Like, where has all this stuff been in this show? But at first I didn't like that that nobody left at the end, and that Evelyn was so quick to apologize to Oliver for. She says I was a jerk. She's so quick to apologize to him for calling him a hypocrite. Well, he kind of was a hypocrite, and she does that just because he saves her. But then I guess the idea is supposed to be maybe he has changed, and if we were doing everything totally by the book, he really ought to be in jail for those people he killed, just because, that's the law. Like, regardless of whether or not you think that was the right idea, that he did the right thing, it's the law. It wasn't self-defense. He went up against unarmed people who did bad things, and he murdered them. He just killed them on the spot. But I have to remind myself that these are not people that are doing things by the letter of the law either. You got Wild Dog, who is cool with killing anybody. Evelyn wanted to kill people, and kind of like the Huntress, except Oliver got her to hold back, and with the Huntress we didn't. We haven't seen her in a while. That's fine with me. But anyway, so they turned me around on that a little bit at the end, and I just these circumstances are extenuating. These are vigilantes working with another vigilante. They were okay with his killing when it seemed necessary. What Diggle calls a good kill. But serial killer, that's a whole other ballgame. So I like that Oliver has to face that. Am I still a serial killer? So let's see here. I thought it was interesting that Curtis thought that the Hood was a different person from Green Arrow. Again, that was a thing I resisted at first, and I guess I could kind of see it, but just because there's been so many archers in this city, we have good guy archers, we've had bad guy archers, it seems like a conversation maybe he and Felicity would have had at some point, but I mean, I guess I can see why it wouldn't come up. It's just we're paying a little bit more attention to continuity, and that's good. That became a thing I was interested in more than criticizing after a while. But that idea really jumped out at me. So let's go ahead and talk about the thing with Lance at the end. So I'm not sure what exactly we're supposed to get from that, and I don't think it's supposed to be clear. Like, this is not a criticism. It would be really easy the way it's edited to immediately go, oh, Lance is Prometheus. And maybe it's like a sleeper agent thing. But I don't know for sure what is going on there. Lance wouldn't know about the... I don't know if Lance knows about the list. He wouldn't be able to get his hands on the list. So there has to be somebody else involved, obviously, because Lance does not seem to be doing this on purpose. I like, by the way, that the alcoholism thing has to do with the main story, that it's not just he won't stop drinking because Laurel died. I also really like his relationship with Thea right now. I like that she won't give up on him, and she's trying to help turn him around. But I like that this is not a random dangling subplot. It's tied into all of this, and has to do with why he's drinking so much. But he finds one of the arrowheads, one of the metal arrowheads that Prometheus has been using. That's been like his calling card. That, like the one that Felicity stole, I didn't love that whole thing with her boyfriend and everything. But he picks that up off the table, and he seems surprised by it, I think. It's like underneath something. I'm not sure how to read it. I don't know if it's oh God, I hate that I've turned into this, or if it's hey, what's this doing here? I don't know how exactly to read it. But Oliver and Felicity are talking at the end about how it's got to be somebody who has access to evidence in lockup. And so it has to be somebody who works in the in the Star City Police Department. And they, and we've talked a lot about corruption this year, but I don't think it's that. I think it's supposed to be Lance has maybe been involved with this for a while, and maybe he's a sleeper agent, maybe he doesn't know it. I don't think he's the mastermind, though. I think I think we're going to keep having these kind of red herrings where you've got a person working for Prometheus who seems to be like kind of the guy in charge, and then it turns out that no, it's Prometheus is at the top in this, because at first it looked like Church might be the big bad, and then there's Prometheus, okay, and then Church dies, and then we're wondering who this is, and now Lance is somehow or rather involved. If you got more from that scene, leave a comment and let me know, because I'm in the dark right now. I'm not real sure what I was supposed to take from that, and I am excited about the mystery. I am legitimately interested in what happens next right now, and that's the best thing I can say about the show at the moment. Should this be the last season? I still say maybe so, but I also think that it's possible to really switch gears by the end of this season and turn it into a different kind of show, where Oliver has definitively gotten past where he was after the island and turned into a more altruistic and sure of himself kind of hero, where, you know, getting past the flashbacks, there's gotta be a tonal shift. It's gotta be somewhat of a different show. I don't mean that it shouldn't still be street level and that it shouldn't be gritty and that it needs to suddenly be super lighthearted, but there needs to be some kind of a shift if we're going to keep moving forward from this. If the season stays at the storytelling level it's at right now and keeps this kind of first, second season tone, I would not mind necessarily seeing more of it, but I'm not trusting it yet, so we'll see what happens. Anything else that I wanted to mention? I know I've been talking a little while, but these last 2 episodes have been real dense. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm taking more notes than I generally do with this show. We'll talk about the Susan stuff next time when we see where all that is headed, I think. Oh, and the Babylon 5 reference was fun. I wish Eric was still watching this show. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Sure appreciate it. I'm Captain Logan, and I'll see you again soon with more Primetime Crisis.